Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to continue with chapter 3, business and money. Last time we read the article which was written in the newspaper about the accident of the money that's poo out of the truck or out of the bags, and the motorists who scooped up the money, and we spoke about opinions which support or opinions which say that motorists should return the money, and opinions and reasons which say that motorists should not return the money. I gave you homework. It was your homework was to read the letter written to the editor on page 49. So here our task is analyzing the organization of a letter to the editor. We will focus on the content of the letter, not the form, okay? We will analyze the organization of this letter. So we will read the letter to the editor on page 49 together, and then we will answer questions about the content of the letter. Let's start reading the letter together. October 30, 20. Dear editor, regarding the article about people who don't pay taxes on money they make from small home businesses, government targets small business owners, October 23. My opinion is that the government should stay out of at least one part of our lives, our income. First of all, most people who run small businesses are honest, law-abiding citizens. Many of them have other jobs where they pay more than their share of taxes, unlike the very wealthy who find ways to pay almost no taxes. Others are people who want jobs where taxes are automatically taken out of their paychecks but can't find them. Secondly, the government requires too much paperwork from small businesses. If these business people have to keep the complicated records that the tax people require, they won't have time to sell other old furniture, prepare food for parties, or whatever their business involves. Finally, and most importantly, this is supposed to be a free country, but the government interferes everywhere. Let's be free, at least in our own houses. Sincerely, Al Melinovsky, Miami. So here we have Al Melinovsky writing a letter to the editor. It's a response to an article written in the newspaper on October 23. This is our letter, and at the end of the letter we will have some questions, 5 questions in fact, 5 questions. We will try to analyze the content or the organization of the letter. Question number 1 says, how does the letter begin? What specific information does the author provide to make sure the editor knows what his letter is about? So here we can say that the letter begins with specifying to whom the letter or specifying to which article the letter is responding. Okay, so here it started with regarding the article about people who don't pay taxes on money they make from small home businesses, and then she gave the title of the article and the date of publication. The title is Government Targets Small Business Owners, and the date of publication is October 23rd. Okay, so here she started with specifying or precising to whom, in response to which article her letter is written. Question number 2, it says how many paragraphs does the letter have? Note that paragraphs in newspapers are often shorter than paragraphs in academic writing. So here, if we count the number of paragraphs here, we can say that there are 4 paragraphs. There are 4 paragraphs in this letter. Okay. Question number 3. What does each paragraph contain? Of course, each paragraph contains reasons that support the writer's opinion. Each paragraph contains reasons that support the writer's opinion, since the writer stated her opinion in the first paragraph. In the first paragraph, she stated her opinion, and she said that my opinion is that the government should stay out of at least one part of our lives, our income. In the next 3 paragraphs, she started giving reasons why she thinks so. We move now to question 4. Question 4 says, what transitional phrases does the writer use to introduce each paragraph? What effect does this have on the flow of the letter? So here, if you look at the paragraph, we will have 3 transition words that the writer used. She started her second paragraph with, first of all. This is a transition word from the introduction, let's say introduction, or the first paragraph in which she stated her opinion. She started the second paragraph with first of all. The third paragraph was started with secondly, and then the fourth paragraph started with finally. So here the transition words that the writer used are first of all, secondly, and finally. Now, about the effects that these transition words have on the paragraph, I think that those transition words make the paragraph cohesive and smooth. Okay, they participate in the cohesion and clarity of the paragraph, and they make it smooth. Okay, when the reader reads the paragraph, he doesn't feel any jumping from one reason to another without having a transition word which links the ideas together. We move now to question 5. It says, how does the writer support his opinion? How does the writer support his opinions? I think that we answered this question by saying that we can support our opinions with giving examples, giving statistics, giving reasons, and mainly in this letter, the writer was supporting her opinion with reasons. In every, or let's say, the opinion that she stated at the beginning, she supported it with reasons. I have some reasons written, or the answers to the questions are written to you in the next slide. So here, exercise 10, page 49, analyzing the organization of a letter. Question number 1, we said that the letter begins with a phrase telling the editor which article the writer is responding to. We said that that phrase is regarding the article about people who don't pay taxes on money that make them small, they make from small home businesses. Government targets small business owners, October 23rd. So this is the opening of the letter, or this is how she started, or she began her paragraph, her first paragraph. Question number 2, about how many paragraphs do we have in the letter? The answer is the letter has 4 paragraphs. Question number 3, it's about how does each paragraph start. We said that each paragraph contains, what does each paragraph contain? We said that each paragraph contains reasons supporting the writer's opinion stated in the first paragraph. Question number 4, it asked us about how does the writer start each paragraph. The answer is the writer uses the transition words first of all, secondly, and finally. And we said that they make the paragraph more cohesive and smooth. The last question was it was how does the writer support his opinion. We said that the writer supports her opinions with reasons. So we should provide reasons to support our opinions. We will move now to part 2. Part 2, it's about developing writing skills. We will look at some techniques and mechanisms, some writing techniques and mechanisms which can help us write well when we write our letter. So, developing cohesion and clarity. We can express obligation using must and have to, and we can express or give advice using should or shouldn't. Okay, so expressing obligation and giving advice with models must, have to, and should. Number 1, giving advice. You can give advice using the model should or shouldn't. Okay, so here if I want to give advice, I can use the model should. For example, you should visit your grandparents every week, or you should come to class early. This is advice. I advise my friend or my student to do this. But if you want to advise someone not to do something, if you want to advise someone not to do something, you use shouldn't. You use shouldn't if you want to advise someone not to do something. For example, you shouldn't come to class late, or you shouldn't sleep late at night. Okay, let's read the examples. You should do your homework every night. So here we use should to advise students to do their homework every night. Example number 2, you shouldn't spend a lot of money, you need to save it for a vacation. Here we advised the people not to spend all their money or not to spend a lot of money and to save some money for a vacation. So remember that you use should and shouldn't to express or to give advice. We move to point number 2, expressing obligation. Obligation means it's necessary to do something. Okay, necessity, obligation. We can express obligation using the models have to, don't have to, and must. So here we can use, in fact, have to and must have the same function. They can express obligation. Okay, for example, I can say you must come to class early, or you have to come to class early. This is obligation and necessity. Okay, or you must do your homework before coming to class. You have to do your homework before coming to class. Okay, so have to and must can express obligation, and don't have to express lack of necessity. It is not necessary to do this. For example, you don't have to buy this product. You don't have to buy this product. Okay. So let's look at the examples. The first example is we have to return in our papers tomorrow. We don't have to type them. So here the first one is obligation. We have to return them tomorrow. And the second one is lack of necessity. It is not necessary to write or to type them. We can give them handwritten. Okay. Example number 2, they must arrive on time or we will leave without them. They must arrive on time. So here it is obligatory for them to arrive on time. If they don't arrive on time, we will leave without them. Okay, good. So after this, so I will remind you of should and shouldn't for giving reason, and have to, don't have to, and must for expressing obligation, whether something is obligatory or not. We will move now to the next slide. In the next slide, it is an exercise. It's exercise 2, page 51. Exercise 2, page 51. Let's look at this exercise first, and then try to answer the questions of that exercise. So here it's using models in sentences. Write a sentence using must, must not, have to, should or should not about the following topics. The first one is done for you. It says paying taxes. The sentence is everyone should pay taxes no matter how much money he or she makes. Second one, you are going to write a sentence using those models about underage driving. Underage driving. So the meaning of underage means the age is below the legal age of doing something. Okay. So here we can say that 16 years is an underage for driving. So we can write a sentence here saying that underage driving must be punished severely by the government. So underage driving must be punished severely. Okay, this is one sentence. We use it must to show obligation. Okay. Number 3, spending a lot of money to clean up the environment. We can write a sentence also expressing obligation because the environment is very important in our lives. We can say that in some countries, the government should spend a lot of money to clean up the environment. So here we write this sentence. In some countries, the government, let's say, must, as an obligation, must spend a lot of money to clean up the environment. We move now to sentence number 4. Okay, giving money. We have to write a sentence about giving money to the poor. Okay, we can advise people to give money to the poor. We can say people or we should give money to the poor in order to make them happy. Okay, so we can say that we should give money to the poor to make them happy. Good. Number 5, lying. Lying means not telling the truth. Okay, we can advise people, or we can say advise people, yes, not to lie. We can say that you shouldn't lie to anyone. You should always tell the truth. So here, you shouldn't lie to anyone. Okay, you shouldn't lie to anyone because lying is not a good thing. Number 6, trying to find the owner of jewelry found on the street. What do you think? I think it's not necessary to try to find someone who lost his jewelry in the street, because he may be from another country or from another town. Okay, and it is too difficult to find the person who lost this piece of jewelry. So here we say that you don't have to we can say that you don't have to try to find the owner of jewelry, to find the owner of jewelry jewelry found on the street. Found on the street. Full stop. Okay. Here we should start with the capital letter. So here U so you shouldn't lie to anyone. Number 7, robbing a person's house if you need money. Of course, here it is an obligation. Okay, so we can oblige our children at least not to rob a person's house even if they need money. Okay, so you can say you mustn't rob a person's house if you need money. You mustn't rob a person's house if you need money. If you need money. Okay. The last one is about borrowing someone's car. Borrowing someone's car. We can advise people not to borrow people's car because they may have an accident and they may damage the car, so they will be responsible for the loss. Okay, or paying the loss of that of the car. Okay, so we can say that you shouldn't, or you shouldn't. Yes, we advise people not to do this. You shouldn't borrow someone else's car. Someone else's car. Okay, it's better not to borrow people's car because people's cars because we can damage those cars and we can have an accident, or we will be responsible for that. Okay. We will move to the correction. On the next slide, we have the correction of this exercise. They are written to you. The sentences with should and shouldn't, must, mustn't, and don't have are written to you. Okay. Number 1, everyone should pay taxes no matter how much money he or she makes. Number 2, underage driving must be punished in order to prevent accidents. Number 3, in some countries the government should spend a lot of money to clean up the environment. So we advise the government to spend a lot of money to clean the environment. Number 4, we should always give money to the poor to make them happy. Number 5, you shouldn't lie to anyone. You should always tell the truth. So here we use the shouldn't to advise people not to do something, and we use should to advise people to do something. So if something is bad, we use shouldn't. We advise them not to do it. So you shouldn't lie to anyone. And if it is something good, like telling the truth, we use should. You should always tell the truth. Okay. Number 6, you don't have to try to find the owner of jewelry found on the street. So if you find a piece of jewelry on the street, you cannot. It's very difficult to find its owner. So we can tell you that it is not necessary to try to find the owner of the jewelry that you found on the street. So here you don't have to. Okay, you don't have to try to find the owner of jewelry found on the street. Number 7, You mustn't rob a person's house if you need money. So here, obligation. We express obligation. It is obligatory and it is necessary not to rob or steal someone's house. Okay? So it is necessary and obligatory not to rob a person's house, even if we are in need of money. Number 8, you shouldn't borrow your friend's car because you may damage it. So here we advise people not to borrow their friend's cars or someone else's car because they may damage the car and they will be responsible for repairing it. Okay, so this is how you can use should, shouldn't, must, mustn't, and have to, don't have to in your letter to the editor. Remember that at the end of this chapter you will write a letter to the editor. The letter to the editor should contain advice and should express obligation and give advice. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Correcting spelling errors. It's in part 3, revising for content and editing for form. So here in part 3 we will be looking at correcting spelling errors. You should always edit your writing for spelling errors. When you write a paragraph, you should reread it, or you should read it in order to correct the spelling mistakes. You should look at all the words and try to focus on the spelling of the words, and if there is a word which is spelled incorrectly, you have to correct it or edit its spelling. If you are not sure about the correct spelling of the word, you can use a dictionary to see or to check whether the word is written correctly or not. So here, use the dictionary to check words you are not sure you have spelled correctly. We have an exercise here. It's on page 58. The exercise is exercise 3, page 58. Open your books on that page. The exercise says, correct the words below if they are incorrect, or write correct if there is no mistake. So here we have to correct the incorrect words, or we have to write correct in front of the correct words. We start with number 1. Number 1 is done for you. Successful. Successful, it's correct. It's spelled correctly. SUCCESSFUL. Successful. Number 2, morality. What do you think? Morality. It is an incorrect spelling of the word morality. We spell the word morality as M-O-R-A-L-I-T-Y. So here it should be written this way. Morality. I instead of E. That's the correct spelling of the word morality. Number 3, evil. Evil. Evil is spelled correctly, so we write correct. We write correct. Number 4, honestly. Honestly. It is written incorrectly. The spelling of honestly is H-O-N-E-S-T-L-Y. So we don't have double N. We have only one N. So we write it this way. Honestly. So honestly is written that way. The next word, number 5, is truly. Truly. Truly is written incorrectly. So we correct it with omitting the E. So normally or the correct spelling of truly is T-R-U-L-Y. This is the correct spelling of truly. Number 6, we have estimated. Estimated. We have here double T, and the correct spelling of estimated is with only one T. It's E-S-T-I-M-A-T-E-D. Estimated. So we have to write it correctly. Estimated. Number 7, we have defendant. Defendant is written correctly, so we can write correct. Number 8, prosecutor. Prosecutor is the person who prosecutes in a law court. So here it's written correctly. It's the correct spelling of the word. We move now to number 9, government. Government. G-O-V-E-R-N-M-E-N-T. It is written correctly also, so we write correct. The last word, number 10, is taxes. Taxes in the plural. So tax is the singular noun. We write the plural by adding an S, but since here we have X and S connected together, we have to put a vowel between them. It becomes taxes. We have to add E to the word X, or to the letter X. So here taxes is written this way, taxes, T-A-X-E-S. This is the way we spell the word taxes. This exercise is also done for you. You have the correction in the next slide. So exercise 3, page 58. Identifying and correcting spelling spelling errors. Number 1, successful is correct. Morality is incorrect. We spell it as M-O-R-A-L-I-T-Y. Number 3, evil. Evil is correct. Number 4, honestly. Honestly, we spell it as H-O-N-E-S-T-L-Y. Number 5, truly. Truly is written incorrectly, so we have to write it as T-R-U-L-Y. The spelling of truly is T-R-U-L-Y. 6, estimated. Estimated is written in the wrong way, so we should spell the word estimated as E-S-T-I-M-A-T-E-D. Number 7, defendant. It is written correctly. Number 8, prosecutor. It is also written correctly. Number 9, government. It's written correctly. Number 10, taxes. This is the incorrect spelling of taxes. We should spell taxes as T-A-X-E-S. You should pay attention to the way or to the spelling of the words when you write paragraphs or when you write sentences. And this is also an important question in your exam, in your final exam. You should be able to find the correct spelling of a word. Okay, you should be able to identify the correct spelling of a given word. We move now to the next slide, in which you will have your homework for next time. Your homework for next time is to write a letter to the editor to tell him about your reaction toward the article on page 45. Remember the article on page 45. Now, after finishing this chapter, we want you to write your reaction or your response to the article on page 45. Support your opinions with good reasons. If you give opinions, you have to support them with good reasons. You may also use examples if you want to support them. Good reasons and examples are good support for opinions. This is the end of our chapter. Thank you very much. See you next time.